life between birth to death. And next in line, we have two great living authors. One is Meena Kandasamy, another one is Meena Alexander. Meena Kandasamy, as an Indian poet and fiction writer, she has brought the physical and psychological violence undergone by Indian women. As a feminist, she has brought out the inner turmoil of Indian women, and as an outspoken poet, she is very successful in bringing out the social justice for women and racist and immigration policies also. Meena Alexander, who was born in India and raised in Sudan and migrated to United States, now settled in New York. So she has seen almost 4 different countries, that means 4 different cultures. As an Indian American, she explores migration, trauma, and reconciliation through her poems. And she has spoken about issues of exile and identity through Shock of Arrival, Reflections on Post-Colonial Experience, which is very famous. And when we look at the post-colonial theories, we have to read her works. And her Nampally Road is also very famous. Through that, she has given Search for Homeland. When people move from India to other country, the search of India has begun, the search of nativity. So she has spoken about different issues like exile and identity also. You could, I'll explain these terms in detail in later part of my session. We'll move on to next genre. The great dramatists like Girish Karnad, Vijay Tendulkar, Mahesh Dattani, and Badal Sarkar. Without these writers, Indian theatre, we cannot stand, the Indian theatre could not stand without these writers, because these writers have brought out the Indian tradition, Indian culture to the whole world. I hope you all know Girish Karnad, not only as a playwright, as an actor. I hope he has done some important father roles in Tamil movies. Hope you remember. He has brought the themes of history and mythology through his works. His famous plays are Iqbal, Nagamandala, Tughlaq, Yayati, Hayavadana, and The Dreams of Tipu Sultan. He has used history and mythology to tackle contemporary issues. If you would have read any of his dramas, you would have enjoyed the contemporary characters through myth, how he has portrayed very beautifully. As a renowned personality, he is known for bringing out the multifaceted life of Indian society, multifaceted life in Indian society. Next, we have Vijay Tendulkar. As a leading Indian playwright, he has brought the contemporary, unconventional themes. He has given inspiration of real life incidents and social upheavals. When we read his plays, he has brought out the normal day-to-day activities of Indian in a very clever manner and pointing out the mistakes of the characters with dramatic technique. So he has poured the clear light on harsh realities in a very light manner, especially when we look at the play Silence, the Courtesan Session. will enjoy the dramatic play what they have done, interlude, a drama in drama, and the outcome, the lesson, how these characters learn from that. Then we have the famous great Mahesh Dattani. He has brought out awareness to the society, especially gender, and his themes are politics, family unit, and he has spoken the burning issues of society, problems faced by women, gender discrimination, taboos, human life relationship, husband and wife relationship, different mental states and emotions undergone by women, and strength and weakness of human being. So he has brought totally in through all his works, he has brought the individual's predicaments, especially longing for gender identity, gender discrimination, and communal tension. Then we have great writer Badal Sarkar. As a contemporary Bengal writer, he has introduced the new technique, new theatric technique like small theater or third theater, which has the special feature like emphasizing the audience to participate. Earlier than this kind of opportunity was not given. So through this technique, he has elaborated the stage setups, props, spotlight, costume, and even makeup. So he has brought out communal violence, conflicts arising out of caste, religious, and gender identities. He has brought the aspirations and frustrations of new ruthless urban generation. So altogether, Badal Sarkar's play is both experimental and alternative. In this list, we have a woman dramatist, Dina Mehta. She comes under expatriate. So so I have included her along with that list. Now in 60s we have great novelists like Anita Desai and Kamala Markandeya. From here, I am going to focus the great novelists, especially women. In 60s, we have the great novelist called Anita Desai, who questioned women's problem in a very peaceful manner, though all her characters are undergoing alienation, absurdism. She has given a stimulation, a kind of motivation at the end of the novel. During her period as a feminist, during her period, there was an awakening in the West. So she has included that feministic concept, feministic awakening, introduced that in all her novels. And she has clearly stated that for women, no escape from marriage. Even after marriage, there is a suffering, and how the woman is suffering and how they come out from their suffering is portrayed very clearly, and it is a great lesson for women because through her writing she has brought out the social malady, how the woman is being neglected, how the woman is being dominated by her husband or by the male characters in the family through her innovative technique, stream of consciousness. She has brought out the psyche of tormented woman And she has brought out the panorama of East and the West, how the family relationship is differencing and how the characters are undergoing alienation and state of bewilderment and indecision, and especially the love-hate relationship between man and woman. And her famous work novels are Fasting Feasting, Clear Light of the Day, Fire and Mountain. She has written almost all types of women characters in a well manner. Next in the list, we have Kamala Markandeya. She is born in Bangalore, and as a journalist, she lived in India and UK as well. She married an Englishman, so slowly adapted that culture in her works. Her women characters are authentic, and she has brought out the harsh reality of Indian society and unjust taboos thrusted on her. How the woman is exploited in Indian society and how woman is struggling to brought out her family. As a hardworking woman, how she has to suffer, starve, hunger, degrade, and how not only her own self, how she brought out the whole family, whole society in a well manner. Almost all her works brought out the human relationship and the East-West encounter. Her famous novels are Nectar in a Sieve, A Silence of Desire, Some Inner Fury, and Copper Derms. And next in line, we have Nayanthara Sagal. She is known as the close family member of Nehru, and she has brought out the plight of women through in her novels like Storm in Chandigarh, The Day in the Shadow, and Rich Like Us. And the main themes of her novels are, since she belonged to the close of Nehru family, she is almost the age group of Indira Gandhi. So during that period, the societal and political issues and how the personal relationship changes. She has brought the crisis of India's political upheaval and the life of Indian aristocracy. As a feminist, she concentrated on civil disorder, corruption, oppression, and stimulated the woman to be an independent one, portrayed independent existence of women in her novels. Next to that, we have the great personality, Sasi Deshpande, and almost, of course, we all would have heard about her, read her works. As a woman novelist, she is always an inspiration to women. She is of the tendency like, my life is my own. And she is also used the stream of consciousness to portray women's plight in contemporary Indian society in 70s and 80s. She has explored female psychology and how she is longing for independent life, how she has to be like male. She wants to be a human being, especially independent creature. Her novels, The Dark Holes and No Terrors, The Dark Holes, No Terrors, and Roots and Shadows are very famous. She portrayed women's lives in modern Indian society and complexities of tradition and modernity. When we look at the novels of Sasi Deshpande, it's almost all the novels are family novels. The heroines of the novel wants to leave behind the limits and limitations which is imposed by the family and the society. And the woman characters want to self-assured, self-empowered, and articulate their personalities. And they don't want to indulge in, or they don't want to circle their life with the glimpse of Hinduism or with the glimpse of Indian tradition and custom. They want to be happy. So everybody, all the heroines of Sasi Deshpande wants to create silence of their own. They want they wants to have their own rights on their hand, and they wants to increase their status and power in the family. So the woman seeking her own identity and the complexities of man-woman relationship is dealt very clearly by Sasi Deshpande. Then we have famous novelist. We all know the woman who created big global market for Indian writing in English is from Kerala. The novelist Arundhati Roy won prestigious Booker Award for the novel The God of Small Things. And she is known as brave and promising writer, brought out the superb picture of human history. Her novel is analytical and written in the perspective of woman. Hope you would have read the novel. The character Ammu is admired by everyone who is longing for the freedom. When we look at the struggle undergo by Ammu, is like going by our own self. So she has brought, Arundhati Roy has brought the problems faced by women in the dominant society, women within the family, by her husband, by her own brother, by her own father, and out of family, the so-called powerful man. Everywhere, wherever she goes, she has to undergo the suffering. So she has brought out the whole woman as an aunt, as a daughter, as a mother, as a granddaughter, and she is the one who deprived for the property of rights, equal educational opportunities, which is denied by man. And as a personal admirer of Arundhati Roy, I could say that she was the one who gave way for equal rights of properties which we enjoy now. And next in line we have Manju Kapoor, who was born in Amritsar. And as a feminist writer, she focuses the society. She herself admitted that her novels are mirror of society. She gave voice to women's condition in a traditional and patriarchal society, and she has portrayed the realistic problems in the life of Indian women, Indian married women, who is rebelling against this traditional setup. And her heroines are educated, middle class women, especially her life after marriage and her struggles, how she would like to upcome in her life. Her famous novels are A Married Woman, Custody, The Immigrant, and Home and Brothers. And now we slowly moving to expatriatism because women, not only women, male writers also, many male writers also comes under this category. The next stage, expatriate writers like V.S. Naipaul, Salman Rushdie, Arun Joshi, Ruskin Bond. I hope some of you, I think PG students have read Arun Joshi, Existentialism, and Ruskin Bond's short story also. And we have writers like Amitav Ghosh, Vikram Seth, Rohinton Mistry, Amit Chaudhary, Vikram Chandra, and Sukit Mehta. So many writers comes under expatriate. So I would like to brief out what is expatriate and who are all comes under expatriate and how it changes to how it coined as diaspora later. Writers like Fridas Kanga, Rohinton Mistry, Farooq Doti, and Bhakti Sidhwa. Since I have spoke about Rohinton Mistry here, there is a small community over here because we have Rohinton Mistry and the great writer Dina Mehta, the woman writer, and these writers comes under not only expatriate as a Parsi community writers. They portray the life of Parsi community and the history of India and their ethnicity and family relationships like motherhood and intricating baffling relationship of men and women. So during partition and after partition, what happened to Parsi community in India? They portrayed that in a group. Here we have Dina Mehta, and within the Parsi itself, Rohinton Mistry and other writers are settled in abroad. So they come under expatriate. But Dina Mehta lives in India itself. So she comes as Parsi writer in India. So when we look at her, she is the one who has written The Brides Are Not for Burning, which is admired by everyone, almost stimulated the whole woman community through her play. And she has written novel also, and she is of the category. She is staying in India itself and bringing out the themes like child abuse, rape, female feticide, and blind superstitions, which is existing still in India. And as a woman writer, she wants to develop the human society by overcoming this kind of taboos, and she gives voices against the mishappenings like infanticide, rape, inequality, and gender discrimination. When we look at the newspaper, every day we do come across the murder of women and the pathetic condition of women children. So she has uh, giving, she has portrayed that in Brides Are Not for Burning. Like Vijay Tendulkar, she has the inner urge of bringing a change in the Indian society, especially the position of women. As an independent thinker, she wants the woman to be a modern woman and She is giving voice against the partiality existing in this society and sexual harassment of for women in family, within society, and especially at workplace. And here I would like to give a small differentiation how the expatriate literature begin when we look at deeply, especially after post World War II. People started migrating from their native country to abroad. People from India, many writers have moved from India to abroad. So it's a natural tendency that when we at college, you feel that if I am at home, I'll enjoy my life now. After moving to home, especially when you have study holidays like this, you will remember when I'll go to college. The same kind of tendency our writers have portrayed here. A small definition for expatriate: a person living outside one's country. He is an alien there, having emigrated from the land of his birth. So, when the writer moves from his native place to abroad, he simply can't forget his native place, his family members over here, his own habit, how he enjoyed his life, what's happened to him in India, and how his life is in struggle in abroad. So when he started comparing his life at present in abroad and started thinking over about his nostalgic thinking about his native place, that is portrayed in expatriate literature, the state of exile, self-imposed, and circumstance. Their main themes are traveling, displacement, homelessness, alienation, identity crisis, culture shock, cultural encounter, nostalgia. When they think about their native country, they have that coming back to native feeling, the loss of home. So here we have these themes looking back with native country. The first generation immigrant thinking about his own native place, his own native country, his feeling towards native place. When it becomes second generation, they started adopting the new culture, the new people, because many for many people, the second generation people, they born in abroad, they born and brought up in the place which they born. That means not their native place. Their root is India, but they have started moving to Canada, UK, US, like any country. So the second generation is easily observing the new culture, new people, new customs and tradition. So the second generation has started discussing about their immigrant country, and they have started celebrating their life, present life in abroad. That condition is clearly expressed through diasporic feeling. The diaspora is a global phenomena because many people, maybe out of parents' compulsion or out of interest, many people have started moving for the sake of education, for the sake of good job, because rather than India in abroad, they could earn a lot. The foreign people paying heavily because Indian brain is powerful. wherever they are shining in their life. They are proving their talent almost all over the world. So when they are in abroad, they start observing the alien culture as their own. No other go. Because where we have started living, we need to mingle with them. We need to talk to them. We need to have a kind of entertainment, enjoyment where we are living. So they have the second generation has become diaspora, and they have started gathering as a community, the all the relocated people in abroad, like example, a group of people in US have started gathering as a community, and once in a while they meet each other, they're discussing about their problems they face there. They started helping each other. They started having a kind of entertainment enjoyment during the weekend. That kind of feeling has brought out through diaspora. And the diasporic people have discussed about in employment, education, marriage, and social, political, and economic reasons in their work. They also discuss about problem of identity and how they can gather as a community, and the experience of displacement, fragmentation, marginalization, and discontinuity in the cultural discourse. And this kind of people, the first generation expatriate people, the first generation visits their native country once in a while, since their family members are in India. And the second generation, since they have started their schooling, their college education in abroad, they rarely visit India, and through their parents, they come to know about Indian culture, tradition, and other things. So they neither belong to India nor abroad. So they do have the feeling of unhomed. They don't belong to anywhere else. So this diasporic people have discussing about colonization, decolonization, quest for identity, sense of alienation, and for their position in post-colonial situation. These are all, and the cross-cultural human relationship is portrayed by diasporic writers. And a slight difference between the male writer and the women writer, because the women moved to the woman moved to abroad for the sake of marriage. First reason is when their husband is working abroad, she has to accompany him, no other choice. She cannot live separately in India. And during the marriage itself, they'll do have the agreement, and as per the agreement, they'll take passport, they'll move with their husband to abroad. So when they move abroad, they do work. Some people are working along with husband, and some people do continue their higher studies abroad, and some people have to simply sit at home for for the sake of taking care of their own family, her own husband and children. So when women stay at home, there arises the real problem, because in India she has her own family members, close relatives, and friends to take care of her. But in abroad, she may not expect the same. Though we have all kinds of technology, we do have the missing feeling that is being expressed in women writers. So as a woman, though she has moved from India to abroad, she is the one who has to take care of the culture what she has learned from here, and how she has to change herself when she moves to abroad. So she is in the position, she has to balance both Indian culture and tradition and abroad. The limited absorption of foreign culture. There she found problems of identity and cultural belonging. So all the women writers have started talking about the problems faced by women after moving to abroad, and her feminine sensibility, and how she is facing the multiple marginalization with patriarchal and political constraints. This is how the women writers of diaspora differs. Hope I have made the position of expatriation and diaspora, how it changed. Next in line, we have Bharati Mukherjee, because she is the one considers herself as American writer rather than Indian. Bharati Mukherjee was born in India, and after marriage she married a Canadian writer, Clark Blythe, and moved to New York. So almost she is known to three different cultures. So she has portrayed conflict of two cultures, East and West, and position of married women in India and abroad. And she has portrayed the problems faced by Indian immigrants in the United States of America through her famous works like The Tiger's Daughter, Jasmine, and The Management of Grief. And she has also portrayed women's issues in the immigrant country and global economy, and how the cultural models the assimilated immigrants has to transform themselves. And she has portrayed the displacement and the creativity and violence in foreign country. Our Indian people faced many problems like racism, especially after the abolition of twin towers. They faced a kind of insecurity in their life that is being started portrayed by these writers. Violence and racism in almost all the writers. Next in line, we have Jhumpa Lahiri, as an Indian American author known to everyone, spoke about trauma of cultural dislocation and displacement. And she has brought out the sense of loneliness through her novels, Interpreter of Maladies, The Namesake, The Temporary Matter, and Unaccustomed Earth. As an Indian immigrant, she has brought out the people in America, their struggles, anxieties, and details of immigrant psychology and behavior. And she has also depicted internal dynamics of a Bengali family in the United States. And next in line, we have the great writer Kiran Desai, the daughter of famous novelist to whom we have seen, Anita Desai. She is the citizen of India and a permanent resident of United States. And she is also the partner of Orphan Pamuk. And she has also brought out the immigrant experience. She has portrayed the helplessness of Indians in abroad through her novels Gulabu in the Goa Orchard, The Inheritance of Loss. And she has analyzed globalization, terrorism, and immigration in her works. And we have Sunitra Gupta through her novels Memories of Rain and A Sin of Color, who was born in Calcutta and now she lives in Oxford, and she has brought out the sufferings of female protagonists and the choices they made in their life. And we have Uma Parameswaran, and I forgot to say, sorry, and these writers have touched up all the genres. Now we have all the writers, the famous contemporary writers, not only stick with the novels or any one genre. They have touched all, almost all the genres. Writer here, Uma Parameswaran, she is known as poet, playwright, short story writer, was born in Madras, brought up in Jabalpur, and moved to United States. So now she is known as South Asian Canadian Diaspora. And her famous play is Sons Must Die, which is centered on the partition of 1947. And other famous plays like Meera, Sita's Promise, Dear Didi, My Sister, Rootless but Green are the Bluebird Trees. And her collection, What Was Always Hers, portrays the relationship among South Asian women. Her style is very simple and intimate, which expresses the themes like love, marriage, sex, and family life in a changing South Indian environment. And she spoke about racial memory and contemporary history. And she has also brought out the generation gap between old and young South Asian women and their cultural sensitivity. And we have Indira Ganeshan next in line, who was born in Srirangam in India and moved to United States. And she is known through the works like The Journey, Inheritance, As Sweet as Honey. And she has portrayed almost all the problems faced as an immigrant and their family life. And we have Geeta Hariharan here, and she is born in Bombay and grown up in Manila, known through novels, short fiction, and essays. And she is the one challenged the Hindu Minority and the Guardianship Act as discriminatory against women. And she brought out aspects like social, political, and cultural underpinnings. And she focuses on feminist compounds in her novels like The Thousand Faces of Night, The Ghost of Vasu Master. And I hope you have short stories of Sudha Murthy, and who is also very famous, who is touching upon our real life incidents. And often we do receive many messages, many guidelines of Sudha Murthy, how the Indian life is, especially as a woman, how we need to face life after marriage, how the life of woman changes. And now when she become aged, she has started giving um, advices to women how the relationship has to be balanced, which we enjoy really. And we have yet another writer, Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni, who was born in Calcutta and moved to California. And now she has, as I told you already, the diaspora has become the community. Here, when the woman moved from India to abroad, she has none but the woman of Indian to share her feelings. when they undergo struggle, or when they undergo a kind of suffering, what is happening to them has made Chitra Banerjee to think over, and she has become the founder member and the president of Maitri, which is an organization in the San Francisco area for South Asian women in abusive situations. Here in India, when a woman faces a problem in family or anything in society, certainly she will seek the help of other family members or friends. Here, they have created an organization for the South Asian woman who is in suffering, which is a good job done by her. And she considers herself as an Asian American or a woman of color. She has brought out themes like expatriation, nostalgia, frustration, uncertainty, and dependence. And she has also depicted the problems of a displaced person in America as well as in India. She has brought the themes like love, friendship, assimilation, self analysis, and discovery. And she has also brought out the problems, as I told you already, the problems of racism, sexism, and other forms of social oppression. And her women are seeking identity, how they try to seek identity in foreign country and finally emerge as self-assertive individuals. And I would like to say that when we look at the diasporic women writers, they brought out the new theme. Not on now, I can't say it's a new theme, but they strongly impose the new theme called New Woman. I would like to say something about New Woman. The New Woman is when we look at the heroines of these diasporic writers, these contemporary diasporic writers, they focused the middle class educated woman who is moving from India to abroad. Whether the woman is in India or abroad, they want the woman to be a new woman. Who is a new woman? The new woman is the one who demands her rights of equality, identity, and seeking self satisfaction. She is the one conscious of her own individuality and status in family and society. The new woman is a rebel who rejects the ideal image of woman and disapproving male supremacy as well as traditional structure of society. The new woman is against unjust norms and taboos imposed by the society and marching towards their own goal and fulfillment, life fulfillment. The new woman has got the postmodern tendencies and radical feminism. So, the new woman is searching her own way, her own path, her own satisfied life in new socio-cultural and political conditions. So, I would like to conclude this session with this message. The new woman message is mine also, because almost all the writers, all the contemporary, all the Koval writers have imposed, they have stressed upon the new woman concept for women. So, the woman I want is, whether the woman stay in India or abroad, have to lead an independent life. they must have freedom in their life. For that, you need proper education first, and you need to take care of your own self and others. For that, you need financial support through your jobs, because a woman is respected sometimes with her job, with the bank balance what she has got, and the life status which she undergoes. So we need to have everything to have independent life. You need to plan your future by your own. You need not be subordinated. You need not be under the control of anybody, but you need to have strong identity through your own well qualities. And sisterhood is the one stressed upon by the contemporary writers. Sisterhood is nothing but taking care. As a woman, giving help, rendering hand to other women. As a woman, we also take help from other women, having sisterly bond with other women. And I want all of you to be educated, fashioned woman who is enjoying life of your own choice. At the same time, as an Indian woman, we need to maintain our Indian culture and tradition. And my final quote is, you are your own refuge. Madam, and excuse me, Madam, PGs and the MPhil students are also available here.
No, ma'am. PG and BA, third year, second year, and UG students, ma'am.
Okay,
Second,
okay.
first, second PG and third UG, second UG, first UG, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So the PG students do have the projects. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. They are doing.
Okay, okay. So a small suggestions to them.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to, after listening this session, I hope I have done some justice, some information to you. The people who would like to take up their projects, I'll give you, I would like to suggest you some topics, because since it is Koval novelist, Koval writers, you need to, you can, do your projects like immigration theories and cultural studies by using Komi Baba's The Location of Culture, Salman Rushdie's Imaginary Homelands, and Gayatri Spivak's Subaltern Theory. And to denote woman, we can use Simon de Beau's The Second Sex. And you can touch upon all the critical theories and isms like feminism, postmodernism, formalism, new criticism, Marxism, cultural materialism, structuralism, post-structuralism, new historicism, ethnic studies, gender studies, and theories like from queer theory to recent eco-criticism. And I suggest you to make presentations with the help of faculty members when you are in UG level itself, and at the PG level do projects, and you must publish your article papers in the form of articles. When you take up contemporary writers, since they are living, you can interview them, and you can do some kind of deep study like comparative also.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
your guidance, ma'am.
Thank
Definitely, our
you.
students will do a particular topic on it, so we will let them know, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, ma.
Thank you, ma'am, for your enlightening session.
Appreciation is a wonderful thing. It makes what is excellent in others belong to us all well. Now it is time for us to thank each and everyone behind the success of this program. I invite J. Janet Rose from 3rd BA English Literature to propose the vote of thanks.
Excuse me.
Please wait. There is a session for feedback. Okay, so students, if you have any queries, if you have any doubts, please ask madam, and definitely she will explain. And I think this particular feedback session will enrich your knowledge. Okay, so please open up and ask your doubts and clarifications regarding this session. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am.
Okay.
Now, please ask anything if you have any doubt. Third year, second PG, first year PG. Many girl students are here, so you just ask any doubt regarding the gender studies, especially Indian writing in English. Students?
No, sir.
Yes, ma. Navina Shri, please open up. Amita, Rashmita, Navina Shri, what happened? You tried to talk, but you never turned on your mic. Please turn on your mic and ask your question.
Sir, no, nothing, sir. Not anything, sir. No doubt, sir.
Okay. Okay. Anyone? Anyone else? Second PG. Subhasri, any doubt regarding gender studies or women's studies?
Okay, in that case, you can go ahead, Vignesh. No problem.
Okay, ma'am. There is any question? No one?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay,
No,
ma'am.
sir.
Thank you. Okay. Sorry, ma'am. Actually, no
It's
students are
okay,
not.
no problem. You go
Yes,
ahead.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. What of thanks?
Appreciation is a wonderful thing. It makes what is excellent in others belong to us all well. Now it is time for us to thank each and everyone behind the success of this program. I invite J. Janet Rose from 3rd BA English Literature to propose the vote of thanks.
Showing gratitude is one of the simplest yet most powerful things human can do for each other. Good afternoon to everyone present here. It seems to be a great honor to propose the vote of thanks to all who have helped us in making this guest lecture a fruitful one. First, I would like to thank our distinguished resource person, Dr. C. Bharati, for this wonderful and informative session. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to grab this opportunity to place and record my hearty thanks to our honorable correspondent Thiru K. Palanisamy Avargal for this perfect logistics support he has been extending to all of us. Thank you, sir. I would like to express my deep gratitude to our principal, Dr. N. Raman, for rendering his constant support. Thank you, sir. I would also like to thank our beloved head of the department, Mrs. S. Yasmin, and faculty members for their motivation and moral support. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to thank my fellow student friends for their active cooperation throughout this program. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We
Okay.
have
I
really
also
enjoyed
would
the
like
session.
to I also would like to record my thanks to the principal and management for giving me this opportunity, and to the head of the department, Yasmin madam. Hope you are here.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am is busy with a meeting, ma'am. I think.
Okay, okay. And the faculty members of English, and I know Anita madam, Prabha madam, and Vignesh, you are here. I am happy.
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you for rendering a chance to meet Kongu people. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Through
Thank you.
this
Thank you,
virtual
ma'am.
platform.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Shall I
Hello.
leave, Vignesh?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So the feedback link has been shared in the link in the chat section. You just record your feedback, and it will be considered as your attendance for the session, whole session. Thank you. So let's leave from the class.